Hi everybody, I'm just some guy. Remember how I've been on a quest to find a good Black Mask book? Well, I found one. 4 Kids Walk Into a Bank is a rip-roaring coming-of-age Goonies meets Tarantino. No, I'm kidding, this book wasn't that good at all. I remember seeing all these rave reviews for 4 Kids Walk Into a Bank. The title alone sounds cool. It immediately made me think of a GTA-style caper where 4 teens try to rob a bank and get away with it. Even the pitch from Black Mask sounds interesting. 11-year-old Paige and her weirdo friends have a problem. A gang of ex-cons need her dad's help on a heist. The problem is, those ex-cons are morons. If Paige wants to keep her dad out of trouble, she's going to have to pull off the heist herself. 4 Kids Walk Into a Bank is a very dark and moderately humorous story about friendship, growing up, D&D, puking, skinheads, grand larceny, and family, as told by Tyler Boss and Matthew Rosenberg. And if that was what we got, I'd probably like the book. Instead, we get this weird Wes Anderson-like story that never quite grounds itself enough to be anything more than a poor man's Napoleon Dynamite. Let's start with the art. Matthew Rosenberg is definitely a capable artist. I'm not a fan of his style, but it works for the quirky nature of the story. His panel layouts are okay. I was never confused, although there were some panels that left me wondering why he chose that particular angle. I'm thinking mostly of this high angle shot of Paige and her dad. It's an odd choice because all the action happens on the left side of the panel. The wall separating the bedroom and bathroom almost looks like a panel border, but there's nothing happening in the bathroom, so why even show it? It's almost like it's supposed to be an establishing shot, but it never establishes anything. I give Rosenberg credit for his character design. Everyone looks different enough that you have no problem telling them apart. Outside of that, there's not much going on in the story to really push Rosenberg. It's a pretty basic setting with pretty basic characters. I think that's my main problem with this story. It reads like a pilot episode for a TV show, not a comic book. In an interview, Tyler Boss was asked why he chose a comic when the concept was so heavily based on film. That's a good question. This would work much better as a TV show where you could hear the character's tone. It would make the scenes flow much faster. Instead, we have to trudge through scenes that are supposed to be clever but go on way too long. For example, there's a scene where Paige and a bully insult each other. This is typical schoolyard stuff, but instead of having a couple of panels of this before Paige socks the boy, we get 19 panels of a back and forth, and by the 11th panel, we're down to such snappy clapbacks as superficial. And there are at least 4 other examples of pages like this, where the joke just gets spread too thin. It's meant to be funny, but it comes off as pretentious and kills the pace of the story. I mean, fine, we get to see how one of the kids, a Jewish boy named Berger, is a jerk and a pervert, but did we really need 48 panels of bland headshots crammed into 2 pages to do this? We could have got the joke within 3 panels and moved on. This is the main problem with this book. Granted, this is only the first issue and it might improve later on, but I'm really not interested in getting the second issue because this one went nowhere. So let's dig into the story. Quick question. How much do you want to bet we won't get through the first page without 4 swear? Boom. I wish I was a fucking dragon. Page 1. Page 1, splash page, no less. At least it gets subverted. The caption under the character admits that the character swears too much, so we've got that. So the way the book starts off is that the kids are playing Dungeons and Dragons. Each character gets the obligatory Twitter bio. There's Sir Manly, gallant knight, strong personality, group leader, tomboy, so you know he's really a she. +5 bravery. Then there's Walter, elven princess, cuck. Only ever talks to 3 people, total cuck. Really good at science stuff, nerdy cuck, nerd, well, duh, +4 dexterity. Then we get a little cuss bucket, and I'm just gonna read it. Crotch the sticky, orc warlord, kosher, curses too much, kind of annoying, +6 strength. The kids try to play the game, but end up arguing over the names, the actions, and the way the game works, and that someone gets to be a dragon. It's not bad, but it's one of those things that would have worked better if it were played serious and then revealed to be a game. None of the characters come off as likable, and that's made worse when we finally get to see the real kids. For some reason, Boss decided to use the same joke twice, giving the kids D&D style Twitter bios. We've got Daniel Berger, aka Crotch the Sticky, 11-year-old boy, lives next door, curses too much, -5 charm. Then there's Pat Stretch Schramm, 12-year-old boy, tallest boy in 7th grade, used to stutter, +4 cuteness. He's followed by Walter Johnson, unimaginatively aka Walter, 12-year-old boy, takes high school science classes, still wets the bed, plus 10 shyness. Finally, there's Paige. Take a guess at what qualities she's gonna have. Go on. I'll give you a moment. Yep, she's the toughest of all of them, smarter than all of them, the leader, and virtually unlikable. Paige, aka Sir Manly, 12-year-old girl, could beat up all her friends, super smart, plus 6 charisma. Plus 6 charisma? Really? Where? Did I miss it? I mean, I read this book twice and I never saw any charisma. I saw a lot of snark and sass mouth, which is typical for the tomboy character, but nothing that drew me to her. She's about as charming as Marla in Fight Club. You want to take a shower just from looking at her. Now, I'd love for the scene to have done some actual character building, but it really doesn't. We get just a little of who the kids are. They argue, Paige's dad comes in to stop them from arguing and offers to take them to get some ice cream. Then the stand-ins for Snatch show up, and they get their own D&D style Twitter bios. That's the same joke within the first 10 pages, and it only made sense once. This could have been an interesting scene with lots of tension, but it never gets to that point. Paige sasses the leader of the group, who's clearly there for her dad, who obviously is a member of this group. Paige insults one of the guys with the swastika tattoo, and off-panel he punches her in the face. Instead of showing the punch, we get this. Stop playing your game and look at this so you can see I'm not making this up. Here's the panel, and here's what it literally says. Reminder, under almost no circumstances is it okay to wander into someone's house uninvited and sucker punch a kid in the face. Way to suck away the thimbleful of tension that was actually in the scene. And in case there was any taste of tension left hanging around, we get this ridiculous montage of Burger using a slingshot to hit the skinhead in the eye. Now, you don't actually get to see any of this happen. Nah, what you get is a panel of a random slingshot, a panel of a D&D toy, a panel of a skinhead's eye, and a panel with "GAH" written in it. And in case you forgot who any of these people were, including the 4 men we just met 2 pages ago, we get a 4th set of Twitter bios reintroducing the characters with snarky comments. It's just, so riveting. Finally, Dad comes in with a shotgun and shoos away the goons. The next day we get the scene of Paige being bullied. I think this happens for 2 reasons, neither of which has anything to do with her actually being bullied. The first is that we find out her mother died. That's what sets her off to hit the bully. The second is so that her dad's heist buddies can make amends with her dad. That's it. The scene doesn't really do much in a grand scheme of whatever happens in this issue. It's just there. And so is the following scene where Paige and the boys talk to each other over this radio, arguing over the radio protocol, Burger's mom revealing too much information about her son, and a random perv offering the kids drugs. Oh, don't act surprised. You knew drugs were going to work their way in this book somehow. So Paige tells the boys that she saw the skinhead visiting a licorice store, and the group decides to stake it out. They argue again, and then the guy comes by and gets candy, and walks right by them, and somehow them pretending to read newspapers that came out of nowhere works. Paige looks into the building the guy went into and sees her dad chatting it up with the thugs. Who would have thunk it? And that's it. That's the book. That's the first issue. It's not the worst thing I've ever read, but it wasn't exciting or engaging at all. The Talking Heads panel killed the flow of the book, and virtually nothing happens in the book that moves the story along. You could cut out about half the scenes and it wouldn't change anything. I'm not sure why this book got so much praise. I checked and most of the reviews were only for the first issue. Did we read the same thing? Honestly? What am I now, 6 books in and still not a good book from Black Mask? I mean, this one isn't horrible, it just fails to deliver on the awesome title and premise. It feels like it was really meant to be a TV show or film, or at least a graphic novel. Here's the thing, this would be death on film if you shot it. You'd bore the shit out of your audience. They wouldn't come back for the second show or finish more than the first 20 minutes of the film. It's fine to have a slow build, but you need to build, not just fill pages with random scenes. So, I can't recommend this book unless you're looking for a sleep aid. Then it's perfectly fine. But what do I know? I'm just some guy.